Why air travel bubbles go a small way to salvage hub air travel. Before we answer this, what is a travel bubble? Basically, it's an agreement between two countries to allow specified travelers to travel between two countries without any stay-home notices or quarantines. No tests would be needed. Not just any tests, but PCR tests, which can cost up to around 600 a pop. Governments would most likely have to subsidize the tests. Also, transmission rates between two countries must be identically low for the countries to sign up for this agreement, and countries can of course pull out. Travel bubbles means only people from these two countries can travel on select flights with limited and specified capacity. Only travelers between these two countries, and these travelers must not have traveled to other countries within the past 14 to 28 days depending on countries. In this video, I'm mostly referring to the Singapore-Hong Kong air bubble, one of the first in the world. So here's why I reckon this really wouldn't take off. Firstly, the tests are expensive. Unless the cost is heavily subsidized, it wouldn't make sense to top up 600 on top of the airline ticket prices. Speaking of which, given capacity of aircraft are currently capped at 200 for this Hong Kong-Singapore air bubble, and most airlines typically operate wide bodies on the route, the ticket prices would definitely skyrocket. Don't expect tickets to be cheaper, but rather more expensive. While airlines will give out special mass kits and there are apparently special meals on board Singapore and Cathay to convince passengers it'll be worth it, more cost means higher ticket prices. Perhaps luxury leisure travelers would be tempted, but for travelers that typically fly on a budget, well, you'll have to stretch your wallet slightly. This is really more meant for business travelers and general business travelers. The really businesses by now would have had to operate online conferences or telecommuting. While getting back to normal is important, the tests needed and others could deter some businesses and companies from sending their employees overseas, especially if they have to bear the cost. The main issue and why this really wouldn't take off in my view is that these airports don't just rely on one route, Singapore-Hong Kong, but rather are large hubs that connect multiple countries. Singapore and Hong Kong are competing hubs, channeling passengers between the East and the West, Australasia with Europe and America. That's where the main traffic flow is. Given this traffic bubble is restricted as of now to only travelers from these two countries, the traffic would be much less than usual. Having said that, this is a step in the right direction overall. If this proves successful, as more countries get a grip with COVID, more air travel bubbles could then be set up before large-scale transits are gradually allowed between countries one by one. Asia Pacific is the hardest hit region, and it is of utmost importance that countries must be more aggressive in opening up their borders, while still taking into account the signs, opening up step by step, but quicker and more aggressively. Aviation has taken its largest hit since its existence, but now is the time for the aviation industry to bounce back.